Welcome to Built by Builders. This is our video series, which is highlighting construction professionals who have started tech companies to provide solutions for the construction industry. And it's very unique to have solutions created by folks who have lived the pains firsthand and go on to solve the problems that they've been enduring. So we think this is the kind of leadership that is needed to truly advance our industry. Welcome, Josh. Great to have you on. Great to have you on our series here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, Josh, and then what also caused you to start up Document Crunch?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. I mean, just like you said, I think that my background in the industry is really what led me here. I'm a construction management major. Did a bunch of internships for large contractors when I was at the University of Florida. I ended up not wanting to go into project management. But I did really enjoy the industry and kind of the overall business of the industry. And so I went to law school. I ended up working for a really large law firm representing big general contractors. Started out in litigation, but then handling a lot of day-to-day issues on projects. That led me to actually going in-house with an E&R top 50 contractor. Ended up rising up through the ranks there, and when I joined the southeastern footprint of this contractor, we were like 500 million in revenue. By the time I left, we were over $1 billion in revenue, and all of those experiences really led me to understand what the how big of a pain point our industry has when it comes to construction contracts. And that really is what led me to founding Document Crunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic solution, taking what is otherwise complicated and specific to maybe legalese and lawyers and turning into something far more operational for the very people running the work.
Yeah, and you since we're talking about just project communication and making legalese easier for folks, how does your company ConCntric take wasteful processes and transform them into data-driven actions or easier decision making?
Yeah, I mean, a lot like you, having just spent 26 years in the industry and thousands and thousands of meetings where you're just sitting there with three principal stakeholder groups: the owner, the design team, the builder, each do their own thing and speak their own language, if you will. And just to see how that communication really breaks down very quickly when one is trying to describe an update, for instance, the builder trying to communicate all the complex variables involved in the estimate and all the work they put into it, but really struggling to um, translate that into something that's otherwise consumable by the other folks at the table. And that's just one instance in pre-construction where, coming in and improving the collaboration, the communication, because when you do that, people have a greater understanding. There's a higher degree of transparency, which also drives a great deal of trust. And at the same time, you're removing a lot of the barriers involved in everybody coming together to make the project successful. That's what we strive to do, is raise that transparency and trust level, and at the same time unite all of the processes, the data, and the people to make the entirety of the pre-construction experience go a lot smoother. In your experience, Josh, you find that the people and teams are willing to, learn more about their contracts, and or are they hesitant? It seems like you're really making that a heck of a lot more approachable and usable.
Yeah, it's very similar to what you were just describing. It seems like, our two solutions are really cut from the same cloth. It's taking something that may be enigmatic or hard to understand and making it easy. In this case, if you polled project managers and you said, "Do you want to learn more about your contracts?" I bet you most of them would say no. However, when they understand that, number one, this can be understood and leveraged for better outcomes at the project level, in other words, to make projects more profitable, to be on top of your game, I think there's a huge willingness to dive in. And that's again going back to like what our selling point is. It's very similar to yours. It's, let's take something that you may perceive or to be unapproachable or hard to understand, or beyond maybe what you're comfortable digging into, and let's make it super easy to make your day job easier, to facilitate collaboration, to be on top of it, to be able to work with counterparties on the job. Minor claims or issues at the project level don't spin out of control because you're educated and you understand how to navigate day-to-day issues that arise. So I would say that, to answer your question directly, I don't know how like excited people are about their contracts, but I definitely am seeing across the industry now. Of course, people are excited to be empowered to do more, to run better projects. And if we can be a small part of that, that's what we're all about at Document Crunch. Going back to just the root of that question, if we can make communication easier for project teams, I'm all for it. I mean, that's our thing at Document Crunch. We want to empower everyone. What about you? Since you've started ConCntric, have you noticed that, communication between teams has evolved or become a little bit more collaborative?
And in several different ways. If you think about like intercommunication, so among the owner, the design team, the builder, the ability to exchange information, ideas, actually have people come in and work within a common environment, drawing from a single source of truth, whether it's data or any other sort of process or summary, if you will, of the project. Uh, it's already showing immediate signs. Even the communication and the competition for a project. I think a lot of contractors are having a hard time differentiating themselves when they are competing for a project, and we're presently batting 1,000 with the customers that have actually really elevated their game on how to communicate their way of doing pre-construction by incorporating ConCntric in that pitch, if you will, and then even bringing it in live in the interview to showcase this is how we will communicate with you. This is how all of the decisions we're making instantaneously and dynamically can be scenario modeled or presented to you, and really opening the doors in many different dimensions so that the owner, the architect, and the builder can have far more constructive conversations. It's the old adage of lines, not dots. A lot of what's being presented are snapshots in time, and everybody has to sit there and remember, well, what was it before and what is the trend? But when we can take all of that data over time as part of our platform and constantly be putting the entire story out there and it updating continuously, now people can understand where they are and where they're going by virtue of trends, etc. And then there's the intra communication just within either your own team and just making it very easy to get your work done as a group, or better yet, when you have teams of teams doing multiple projects within a given company, the ability to exchange information and really draw upon common ideas that were otherwise locked up in Excel spreadsheets with this team, and this team had no knowledge or access of the great ideas or solutions that they were coming up with. So communication is a massive part of what we're trying to build and improve by virtue of a platform approach to pre-construction.
I think your perspective is so interesting, given your upbringing in the industry. I mean, this is a communication business, and I think oftentimes people forget that. I think technology that enhances communication rather than further silos folks are going to be the winners in our space.
What do you anticipate the ripple effect of just the more introduction in all facets of what we do with the introduction of technology? Where do you see that going? I'm sure you're seeing more than just that linear relationship of the contract versus the project team, but the benefits to the
Yeah, I
owner
mean,
and all the other ancillary.
yeah, we have a shared story here. I mean, the ripple effect is you want to arm everybody with information to make good decisions, to have a clear and transparent path forward as issues arise, to understand data trends, as you were saying. That ripple effect, what I believe that means, you were in the industry, Steve. One of the hallmarks of a great project wasn't just that it was on time or on budget or safe, but you'd be able to ask the owner at the end of the job, like, would you want to work with this team again? And you want to enhance that experience. You want to smooth out all those interactions at the project level. The ripple effect of this type of technology is more collaboration, more transparency, better relationships, less risk, more delightful construction process. We know that we have that in us. We can be a more profitable, more delightful industry. And I think that's the ripple effect of all this technology.
Well, I can tell you, just being fairly close to a Document Crunch is off to an amazing start. The momentum that you all have and the impact you guys are already having is amazing to watch, Josh. So congratulations to you and the entire Document Crunch team. So it's been awesome having this exchange. We need to do this again very shortly, because I think things are moving rapidly as they do in our new tech world, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's a fun time to be here for sure.
appreciate you being on with us, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.